All right, we are live. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Kite Talks. This is Arup Sons here. We have a special guest with us, South African. At the end of the day, he spent 4 years in India. We have Rushdee Warley with us. He is the CEO of Inspire Institute of Sport. Fantastic. Not only concept, but an institute that's first of its kind in the country. Brought to us by JSW Sports. Rushdee, thank you for taking the time out. It's a pleasure to have you talk to us.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Awesome. Rushdee, I would love to start a little bit about, well, early in your professional career. The idea is to sort of maybe get some stories and maybe a little bit about your experience, well, in high performance sport, of course, specifically with swimming South Africa. I think that you spent a major amount of time there. And again, I'll leave it up to you to jump right into it, and then we can take it from there.
Well, I mean, as I said, thanks very much for having me on your show. And, for me, if I go back to swimming South Africa, I actually started off as an athlete, and I won't go into that too much, but then moved into coaching after a little while, and I actually fell into it purely by chance. My dad called me one day and he said to me, and he had continued working in the club that we had been involved with. It's a community club, a volunteer base, and he said, don't you want to come down and have a chat to some of the kids? And I went down and spoke to the kids, helped the coach out a little bit. And it was, just purely because my dad had asked me. And what happened was that 2 days later, the coach disappeared and I was left with a training squad. And that's how I fell into coaching.
Oh, wow.
And that's a true story, right?
And this is a local club, or
a local club? Yeah, a local club. And it's like it's actually a community-based club, which is largely supports kids from poorer socioeconomic circumstances. And it's the same club that I swam for my entire life. And I suppose that's what really coming out of South Africa right through apartheid and then post apartheid, it's really what drives my passion to see young people given an opportunity and allowed to express their potential. And it's probably my main driver in terms of my professional career from South Africa through New Zealand and now into India. But yeah, that's actually a true story of how I got into coaching. And with the right environment that we created in a very poor facility at the time, we had young kids that had actually gone on 4 months of training, a pool that wasn't heated, a 33 1/3 yard pool. So, I mean, if you look at the metric system, you already know how antiquated the pool is. But, a very determined group of young kids. And, I was extremely motivated to give them an opportunity. And I was working also with my dad at the time. And, eventually some of these kids went on, despite the circumstances, to actually win at the national championships. And my dad saw how much I was enjoying it. And he said to me, Rushdee, why are you working in the family business? Go do what you want to do, chase your dream, have fun. And I gave it up, and I went to go coach full time. And the first couple of years were hard. I was earning around about less than 8,000 rupees a month, and I had a fiance, and I was thinking of getting married. So it became a bit challenging. Either way, I mean, I got recruited into swimming South Africa because the president was very keen on on the work that I had been doing. And you wanted me to head up the talent identification and development program in swimming South Africa and create systems and processes that would lead to a good pathway that moving from junior into senior programs. So my first role at Swimming South Africa was in talent identification and development. And like I said, it was about these systems and processes for young swimmers, putting in place a good education, coach education program for them, providing competition opportunities. So, that was really, that was a load of fun. And
I guess that allowed you to travel also quite a bit.
yeah, I mean, I traveled probably, I was away from home probably more than, at least 8 to 10 days of every month. And that was locally, and probably internationally 4 or 5 times a year I'd be away. So lots of international experience, and, I've been very fortunate like that. But, working with these young kids and allowing them to, providing opportunities. And in South Africa, it's got a slightly different slant, because just post-apartheid, what was happening is that you have, kids from disadvantaged backgrounds due to the political dispensation. They don't have the facilities, they don't have the economic resources in order to actually come to training. And, in South Africa, trying to correct that imbalance was also part of what I did in that development process. But, having said that, that was only one element of it. And it was also about, developing the junior program. That happened, and, I was working in there from 2000 and, 2000, and I moved to Johannesburg in 2002. And then a year and a half later, the head of high performance decided that he wanted to do something else, and he's still a very good mate of mine. But I ended up having to take over the high performance program in its entirety. So from there, I moved into the, headed up the high performance program. And what happened at that particular time was we had a lot of athletes, going to the United States on scholarships. So they were swimming in the NCAAs, and, you didn't have, there was a system that was in place, but it wasn't really producing the athletes that we were looking for. And I was tasked with overhauling the environment and creating a sustainable high performance pathway. So we had a couple of athletes, and we knew that they'd do really well in 2004. We just didn't know exactly how well they would do. And, the result was therefore to see that these young men, they went on to win a gold medal in the 4x1 freestyle relay. And we supported them right throughout that process. But the concern was always that it was always going to be a limited group of swimmers. And we wanted to create a system where people are coming, achieving the qualifying times and achieving medals because of what the system had done, not in spite of what the system had done. So, we went through it in a very multifaceted way. We looked at overhauling absolutely everything from the coaching education program to the competition structure, bringing in a new head coach, the marketing and media plans. So in the entire gamut of the high performance program, we changed. We looked at changing qualifying times so that we can push the standards up. And, we went around the country and we did a big roadshow, and taking feedback from coaches, taking feedback from parents, taking feedback from all different stakeholders in order to develop a long-term high-performance strategy. It wasn't without challenges, because obviously people are not, change is not always easy for people.
True.
And, this went on as a parallel program to what we were running at the time with these potential Olympians, which was in 2003. So this went between 2003 and 2004. And then come 2004, these boys win an Olympic medal, a gold medal, and everybody's exceptionally proud. But, at the same time, we're about to overhaul an entire system, and people start asking the question, why would you want to overhaul a system that appears to be working?
Yeah.
And, the reality of it was, while they won a gold medal in terms of a system which we're extremely proud of, there were only 7 men that qualified for that Olympic Games and no women. So that does not point to any level of sustainability over a period of time. And with the systems and processes that we had put in place, by the time we rolled around to 2008, we had 24 athletes that had qualified for the Olympic Games on the A standard. So, a very big jump. And out of the 24, we had 8 women that had qualified. And that was always just the beginning, because the strategy was always focused on 2012 rather than 2008. In that team in 2008, we had 17 rookies in the team, right? 17 first timers. That's a big number.
Wow.
I mean, going to the Olympic Games, it's it's an exceptional it's an exceptional task. I mean, to put it in context, at this point in time, India has not yet produced one Olympic A qualifier. And I'm sure they will in the very near future, because I've seen some really talented swimmers here. So I'm very excited about that part. But going back to South Africa, out of that program, we had some young kids that had started to develop. And again, came inside the program. And it wasn't only a centralized program. We also supported the coaches in their home environment. So we didn't bring in everybody to a central point. We had a regional training center. We had a national training center. And it wasn't compulsory for everybody to be there. It was by choice, whether you were there or not. But if you were competing and you were showing a trajectory towards, a performance in 2012, the athlete and the coach would continue to be supported in their home environment. One athlete that was at the National Training Center was Cameron van der Berg. And another athlete that was in his home environment was Chad Leclass. And, if you look at the results in 2012, you're sitting with 2 gold medals, and 1 world record, one obviously beating the greatest Olympian of all time. And those boys came through the system, and a very deliberate process that we had put in place in order to see that, to see the outcome there. Obviously, I can't go into all the details of that, but it was a very multifaceted, when I say I can't, because it's just so much to talk about, and I could talk about it for hours. But, as I said, I mean, we looked at everything as to what needed to be done in order to achieve a result. And, we aligned all our stakeholders, the National Olympic Committee, the various provincial governments, or in this case, state governments, that would be referred to here, the national government, the National Lotteries Board, because at the end of the day, swimming is not really a rich sport in South Africa, right? You need to make sure that you align all your resources and you target your investment accordingly, so that you can provide an opportunity and financial resources in order to support the program that you're looking at putting in place. So it was a social change, it was a technical change, and it was certainly a political change within the environment too. And it was certainly an exciting time to be working in South Africa. But and I suppose this is a segue, and I mean, unless you want to ask me any more questions, but an opportunity came up in New Zealand, which I just couldn't turn down. 2011.
I'll jump into New Zealand, but I want to quickly, I mean, you spoke about the stakeholders and this multifaceted system, right? And at the end of the day, I mean, high performance, especially swimming, I mean, you're fighting for milliseconds, right? It's you're trying to improve millisecond by millisecond, and it takes exactly what you said, everybody's sort of combined effort to be able to do that. It's not only just the swimmer, but there's so much more to it. I want to ask you from your point of view, like from a personal front, over that period, did you also require to sort of upskill yourself to be able to, I mean, deliver a better system? Because at the end of the day, you were driving the entire thing. So just
I mean, yes, I did actually. I mean, firstly, you're gaining experience all the time, because, like I said, firstly, I mean, you a lot of it is you're learning. You're learning as you go along. That is definitely happening. And what is really important is that you're creating a system within the culture and context within which you live. You can't transplant a system from the US or Australia directly into South Africa. But, I would have a lot of interaction with my international colleagues and understand what they're doing. Visited multiple international high performance programs across the world to understand how they were running, what they were doing. And on top of that, I was also given an opportunity to enroll in a program, and it was really a business orientated program. And it's a really funny story, because it's a business management course that I did. It was actually sponsored by the the biggest pay TV channel in South Africa, called SuperSport. And, you know, SuperSport just publishes, I mean, they've got content for Africa. And so every year what would happen is they would take about 20 sports administrators that you'd have to apply for a scholarship, and they select you off the basis of that. And you go through a full year program on a part-time basis, but you'd have to be attending classes also at the same time. And you go through various things like management, you know, management of events, project management, financial management for sports, etc. And strategy development, you know, quite a few really interesting topics, a basic intro to sports law. And in the middle of the course, you know, at one of the sessions, the CEO for the pay TV company comes in to address us. And one of the questions that was asked of him is, you know, what's the purpose behind a pay TV channel, you know, supporting and sponsoring a course that has been curated off the back of a business course, and curated specifically for sport? And his answer was quite interesting. He said, well, you know, if you guys don't get it right on the ground, the product that I'm getting for TV is going to be compromised. So, you know, we need the best possible administrators in sport in order to deliver good products on the ground, which I can then put on TV. So, you know, that was one of the more formal courses that I did. And obviously I looked at ongoing training. And, you know, I did short courses in mentoring and training also. But a lot of it was also experiential and mentoring from international colleagues and local people in and around South Africa.
Perfect time to jump to, so was it an easy decision to move to New Zealand?
No, it was exceptionally difficult. You need to understand that, I mean, I started working on the project in South Africa in 2003. And I literally put everything into, I mean, I was, you know, I just become a father, and I spent a lot of time away from my family. In fact, my son would associate me with the main brand sponsor. So when you know, the sponsor's ad came up on TV, it'd say, "Oh, there's Dad," right? So that's how much time I spent away from home. But no, it wasn't easy at all. So I stopped, as I said, 2003, but in 2011, I was given the opportunity to go to New Zealand. It was 1 year outside of the Olympic Games, right? And I really, obviously, worked quite hard. But for me, the opportunity to continue to learn and grow is something that always challenges me and always fascinates me. And it's something that pulls on me quite a lot.
You're an athlete by heart, right?
I am, you know, I mean, yeah, I suppose. And it's something that I think is really important too. So to learn and grow, to challenge myself in a new country, you know, I sat down with my wife and, you know, we discussed it at length, and together we decided that, you know, there was a lot of upsides to this. And I would be starting a new career, a new challenge. New Zealand seemed like a really cool place to go and live, and you know, we had 2 young kids at the time, and thought it would be a great place to take the kids on an adventure.
Yeah. Would if somebody asked you in the early 2000s that, okay, 15 years later, do you see yourself in a country like India, living there and breathing sport? What would you have told them?
I'm not actually sure, to be honest with you. You know, I've always wanted to travel, and I've always wanted to give my family an international experience. And that started, you know, when I was quite young already. And I mean, you know, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but when I was 4, my parents took myself and my sister all over Europe traveling. Right, and I still remember some vivid memories. You know, one particularly in Greece and another one in Las Palmas, and then again in 1990, I again went traveling with my parents all over Europe. So I've always felt the need to want to travel. Then I went to coach, and you know, I spent so much time away. I've been to so many countries, and I saw a whole different world. Whether it was in Japan, or whether it was in China, or whether it was in anywhere in Europe or in Australia. I mean, I've traveled practically everywhere, with the exception. I mean, I haven't really traveled in the US for whatever reason. I'm not sure. But being open to these international experiences has been something that I've always wanted to give my children, and my family, live a new life, being challenged in different ways, and taking the opportunities that life puts in front of you and making the most of them. So would I have in 2000? I wouldn't. I wouldn't be overly surprised. It would be there would be something there. And in fact, I was here in 2003. I was in Hyderabad in 2003 for the Afro-Asian Games, the
nice.
first Afro-Asian Games. So I spent about 3 weeks in Hyderabad, and then in 2010 I was here in Delhi again, and I enjoyed myself both times. So I think a bit of a surprise, but not something that would be beyond the realms of my imagination.
Rushdee, it's I know we've slotted about 30 odd minutes to pick your brain, and I would love to spend the next 5 to 8 minutes talking about Inspire Institute of Sport. I mean, you've of course, high performance sport, specifically in swimming. I mean, that's been your major part of your career, but now you're dealing with multiple sports, multiple athletes, fantastic facility. Again, maybe start off of how you took the decision to come and say, okay, listen, this is, I see this as a sort of really long-term driven project, and tell us a little bit about your role and what the Inspire Institute's all about.
I mean, so in 2015, Mustafa Gauss contacted me, and he started telling me about the project, and I came over. In fact, he said, why don't you come over and have a look? And I came over. I think it was around about August I was here. I came and had a look, and at that time, it was still very much at the building phase. And I sat with Mustafa, and he explained his vision to me, and what the thought process was around it, and what the place would look like. And then that was in August, and then I was hooked, because it seemed like something exciting. Again, an opportunity to challenge myself, an opportunity to learn something new. And I was hooked, but I still had to explain that to my family, because I had come alone. In November, I brought my family over, so we brought the kids over also, and we came. I think it might have even been just about Diwali at that time, so it was quite vibrant. And we came to see the site where the building was. And I sat with the kids. We went to look at different schools, different houses, housing opportunities, and we took the buy-in of the entire family before we decided to make a decision. So my kids were very young at the time, but I believe it's important to listen to children even at that particular age. And collectively as a family, we took a decision to come to IIS, or to come to India to work at IIS. So I came over on the 29th of February 2016, and my family followed at the end of April that year. But the reason why I decided to come to IIS is, again, as I mentioned previously, was an opportunity to be involved in something, and where I could challenge myself and use my experience and work with young athletes and fulfill the potential that I believe is absolutely within this country that we have. The vision of IIS is to be the home to the preferred home of Indian Olympic champions. And what we do every day is try to create an environment, a world-class daily training environment for our athletes, in a multidisciplinary approach, that allows them to, think about, all they need to think about is how they're going to be better every day. That is what we do on a daily basis. That is what we believe. That is what we feel. That is what we try to implement every single day. The thought process behind IIS was to create this environment, and the environment is not only about the facility, it's about the people within the facility also. And that is really, really important. And we managed to get a good group of young people that were motivated and driven by the same kind of desire that I've just explained now. And also from a facility point of view, taking into account some of the some of the experiences that I've had, plus what Mustafa had seen. Path Journal has obviously been a key stakeholder in all of this. When I spoke to Path prior to signing my contract, that sealed the deal. When you see somebody that passionate about driving a project, you want to be part of it. So Path and Mustafa had gone to see different places in the US, Qatar, and we have a number of other places. The thought process was to create a facility that would be comparable to anywhere else in the world. When the athletes are here, they feel that they are in a world-class environment, that there are no excuses for them, right? They cannot turn around and say, there's this in the US and this is in France and this is in Australia. So we went down to the minute details, whether that be the flooring, whether that be the accommodation, whether that be the cafeteria. It was all done to a world-class standard within the culture and context that is India specifically. So, the people plus the environment or the facility itself is something that we've been working on. And over a short period of time, we've seen some relative success. And I'm sure if we continue to do this, especially in our drive towards 2024 and 2028, I think there'd be a good opportunity to continue to develop athletes that are going to certainly make India proud. And also what we stress is that, at the end of the day, not everybody's going to be an Olympic champion. Not everybody here is going to be an Olympian. But if we have contributed to them becoming a more productive member of society, a better citizen of India, then we've also succeeded.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Something that you said early on in this talk about how your father was the one who said, okay, listen, you're doing something that you enjoy, go ahead. Don't pursue the family business, which is something it's tough to come from a father and tell you that, okay, why don't you go pursue this with IIS? I mean, how involved are the parents and of these athletes again who are young and at the end of the day they need their family support as well.
Yeah.
And again, they're away from home. So there's a lot of, I think it's important for you and they're, I think, key stakeholders. I mean, how do you manage something like that?
I think it's, firstly, there's an open door policy here. So when the parents want to come, they do come. We also try to send the athletes home. Particularly, we try to couple that with when they go to their district or their state meets. But many parents would come to IIS, and we try to ensure that we're as accommodating as possible within our guest houses in and around the area. They don't stay on campus. But you're absolutely right. The ability to interact with the parents is critical. Could we do it better? I think absolutely we could do it better. But having said that, I also, as a leader of this organization, try to ensure that that I have an open door policy for these young athletes. And it's if you ask me where we started and where we are now, where some of the athletes, and I'm talking particularly about the younger ones, feel free to walk into my office and anytime and have a chat and express some of the concerns that they have. It means a lot. It means that I've given them an opportunity to be free enough to be to discuss and confident enough to come and discuss something with I would hope a senior person that they believe could fix the challenges that they are facing right now. I try to treat all of them as my own children, because the other part of the conversation that I haven't mentioned is that I've got a son that actually lives in the UK, a young boy, and he's at boarding school.
Wow.
And so I know what it is as a parent to be away from
Yeah.
my son, and I know how I would want them at boarding school to treat my young lad.
Of course.
And as a result, I try to act in that same way um, towards every single child over here, and make them feel that this is a home for them. This is a safe place for them. It's a place where they can, feel that they have the opportunity to be themselves, and an opportunity where they have everything around them that will allow them to be successful.
No, that's fantastic, and I think well, I can surely say this on behalf of the country. I mean, honored to have somebody like you with your experience, and of course the thought process, because it's what I mean, you're doing this for another country other than yours, and at the same time, I mean, you, as I see it, and given the way you speak with the passion that you have, I mean, you're putting in your blood, sweat, and tears into a project like this, and kudos to you and the team. It's I mean, fantastic work. I must say. It's we.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Arup. But I mean, having said that, yes, I do it because I love it. But as much as I've given to India, India has given to me also. The life experience that I'm living here, that my family is living here. My wife absolutely loves India. She loves the environment that she lives in. It is very important,
Yeah.
I mean, and my daughter has the opportunity to have a whole range of, friends, Indian expats, etc. So, it's a two-way street. And for me, what's really important, and I found moving to New Zealand and now to India, you have to immerse yourself in the culture, and you've got to accept that some things are different. It's not good, it's not bad, it's different, right? You can't expect everything to be the way that it was in New Zealand or South Africa. If you have that perception and that mindset, you're already tripping yourself up.
True. No, Rushdee, thank you for taking the time out. It's been a fantastic conversation. I mean, there's already so many takeaways. I mean, that I see that our listeners are gonna take out of this. I'm sure it's not going to be our last conversation, and I look forward to meeting you soon. Well, after we're out of lockdown, and definitely visiting the facility at Vijayanagar. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank you for taking the time to have me on your show, Arup. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we certainly look forward to welcoming you at IS, and I certainly look forward to meeting you in person, and look forward to catching up again in the near future.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.